Welcome to another episode of Un Topo por el Mundo. Today we're going to discover what we Jews hide on the doors of our houses. If you look closely and walk through Jewish neighborhoods, for example, here in Buenos Aires, you'll find that many houses and many businesses have a little thing on their right door frames. That reminds us of the Exodus from Egypt, when they painted the right door frames with ram's blood to avoid the 10th plague, the death of the firstborn. And today, we still keep it with us. I took mine off my house door and brought it here to have it checked. Let's find out together what's inside here. And I'm not going to check it myself, but instead, my friend Mendy Jankilevich will...
Hello.
Is this what you do? Checking these things?
Yes, that's right. I review my Mezuzah and I write them too.
So do you know what's hiding in there?
Yes, I'll explain everything to you today. But first, I'm going to invite you to the morning prayer. Come on, let's go. It's mandatory, and it would be best before checking the Mezuzot.
Where did you bring me, Mendy?
We're going to the ritual bath.
The mikveh. It's like Yakutsk, but without 40 tasks, sub-zero temperatures, or warming up.
Well, before we continue, I told Mendy, hey, let's get something to drink. And Mendy tells me we can't go just anywhere because he keeps strictly kosher. Me, maybe 50%. And we came to a cafe specialized in kosher food called Sman, which is here in the Once area. What's that? The special thing is that it's a cafe that's run by people with disabilities.
In fact, it has been declared of cultural interest by the legislature of the city of Buenos Aires.
We're not necessarily going to find traditional Jewish food here, although we can find bagels, for example, which is, let's say, a traditional food. And then there are common things like croissants, a typical Buenos Aires cafe. And it's not a barter deal, because some people say they came here as part of a barter arrangement. No. Something that makes a cafe a good cafe is that it still has the print newspaper, right? What do you want to read? Prensa Obrera Mendy. We have a colleague here who's a content creator. What's your channel? I'll go to Hachuchayo. There it is, let's go. I'm a religious influencer. A religious influencer, a kosher influencer. And one particular thing about this restaurant is that it's dairy. According to Jewish dietary law, you can't eat meat and dairy together. In this case here, this is a restaurant that only serves dairy products and there's nothing with meat except for fish, which according to Jewish law can be mixed with dairy without any problem. And I ordered a very traditional Jewish dish, which is a chipa.
To pay tribute to our Guarani brothers.
Guarani Judaism doesn't exist. Guarani Judaism.
Did you like it or not?
Plenty of cheese. We've finally arrived at the place where the mezuzot are made. This is where those secret texts we hide in the doorways of our homes are written. And also other things, like Tefillin, for example. That thing we put on this morning on our arm and on our head, which serves to connect the heart with the mind. Inside those little boxes that we put on, there are some writings, and those writings are written here.
I invite you to discover this beautiful tour of the sacred writings and how they are made.
This is all handcrafted work, Mendy. This is a craft that is thousands of years old, we could say.
And look, from Moses, who came down from Mount Sinai until today, we are the ones who copy exactly, not one letter less, not one letter more. And in fact, what is written in the Mezuzah is taken from the Torah, which has 308,410 letters. Within these 308,410 letters, you have 700 letters that make up the Mezuzah.
In the same way that this mezuzah is written, or a Torah is written, or anything else. It has been done the same way for 3,500 years. That is 3,300. Well, 3,300. If an archaeologist, for example, finds a Torah in Syria from 2,000 years ago, it will be made in the same way you could make one today in 2025. Yes.
Yes, of course. In fact, a few years ago, some Dead Sea Scrolls were found. What might be different is perhaps the handwriting, as we will see that there are different styles of handwriting. In general, there are 4 famous styles of handwriting, and what can vary is the layout of the Torah. There are layouts that are a little smaller, a little larger, but the standard is 245 columns.
Your specialty is making the ones we put on the door, which are mezuzot, but you also make tefillin.
I can make a Torah.
Have you ever made a Torah?
I made a part of a Torah.
And how did you get started in this world?
I've always liked writing since I was a kid. In high school, I was very good at technical drawing. I made blueprints, and I was very good at calligraphy. And when I was in Israel, I spent 2 years in the holy city of Safed, and there was a course in my second year, so I took it. And well, it took a long time, you know. It's not like one day you just start writing beautifully or with the right form. It's a whole process. And well, Baruch Hashem, thank God. I've been in this profession for 22 years. 22 years?
Roughly how many people like you do this work in Argentina?
I estimate that here in Argentina there are 20 people, only 20, yes, in all of Argentina.
And could there be women scribes?
Within Orthodoxy, this doesn't exist. Oh, but it's not a matter of people. Stand up, stand up. No, it's not a gender issue, but rather that they're assigned to men and not to women. Bye, canceled. Anyway, the anti-Semites will cancel us first, so don't worry. Well, let's start reviewing it. Yes.
The anti-Semites will cancel us first. So, don't worry. Well, let's start reviewing it. This is very important because it's believed that my entire destiny is closely related to the Mezuzah. If I have few views, it's not because my videos are bad, but because something is written incorrectly. You'll say, Topo, you have no views just because of a single letter mistake. More or less, let's say, how much does it cost to have a Mezuzah checked to see if it's in proper condition?
Well, it depends. For example, what I do is either you bring it to me and I do it for you in 24 hours. Right now, we're going to do it quickly, but generally, people come and leave it with me. Then, when I have the time, I check it for you, and in 24 hours, you have it back. Or I go to your place, either here or anywhere in the whole Buenos Aires metro area. Well, checking Mezuzah costs between 90,000 pesos and 18,000 pesos. Mezuzah.
How much does a new Mezuzah cost?
Approximately, it starts at around 77,000 pesos.
Whoa. That's steep.
Yes, well, it takes a lot of work. It's very handcrafted.
How long does it take you to write it?
More or less, a mezuzah, one of the simplest ones, can take between 2 hours and 5 hours. It depends on the size and all that. Yes. Here we have the mezuzah. The mezuzah is made up of 22 lines, approximately 700 letters, and it has 2 paragraphs. They're called Israel and the Be'ayayin paragraph. For example, here it says, Uftantan al mezuzot beiteja ushereja. You will write a mezuzah, you will write it. That means you have to write it, but you delegate it to me. A mezuzah on your door at the entrance of your house, that is...
I would have to, according to the mitzvot, according to the commandments we have to follow as Jews, which are 613 things we have to do, and also prohibitions. One of them is that I have to write this mezuzah scroll that will be on my door, and at the same time I also have to write a Torah. So in that sense, since I don't have the qualifications to do it, what I do is I delegate it to a qualified person who is Mr. Mendy Yankelevich here, who is the one who writes it.
That's right. A Sefer Torah scroll is much more expensive. It's much harder to have one. It ranges between $25,000 and $100,000 or more. No! That much? Yes, because it's at least a year of work. 3 years, a 3-room apartment. All right, let's go through it. Letter by letter, I'm going to read it quietly and see what comes out.
I feel like I'm back in college getting my exams graded, Mendy. But I couldn't figure it out, right?
I was able to figure it out. I'm fixing some little crowns. Some moment later. Well, we found that the mezuzah is fine.
It's kosher.
Yes, we found that the shape of the letter is fine too. There are 2 vavs, which are like a stick that are short, but they have the right size. I mean, you can see them as V-A-V. And what does it say? On the back, it has the 3 names of God in a sequence. So it's Kabbalistic.
Something kind of secret on the door.
It's Kabbalistic. In fact, Maimonides is not in favor of putting this on the mezuzot. Many of the Sephardic mezuzot from
the other ethnicity that's not us? No.
Our Sephardic brothers, they don't have this written. And here it has the name Yakai or Yadai, which is one of the 7 names of God that cannot be erased, which is the acronym Shomel Daltov Daltot Israel, which means he guards the gates of the people of Israel.
A curious fact is that the locker room at the Argentinos Junior Stadium, and this is something I'm going to share, and maybe they'll get mad at me, but I won't say who told me, it has a mezuzah
Really?
Yes, we should check it since things aren't going well for us. Let's get into the part that's contradictory for me because the mezuzah isn't written on paper like many people think, but rather
It's made on the leather of an animal that could potentially be kosher. Kosher, for our audience who doesn't know, is the Hebrew word for fit or proper.
you don't have to kill the animal, you could just find it already dead.
And you take its hide and make, I mean,
You could make vegan mezuzot or vegan friendly ones where the animal died naturally, let's say.
yes, yes. Actually, let's look at the leather here. This would be the hairy side, and this is the flesh side. And you write on this side, you make the lines and write. Then, what do you write with? One might say you can write with anything, but no, you write with a goose quill.
With that, we're going back to ancient times, let's say.
In fact, the best way to write is with a reed, even if you can't believe it. Why a reed? Because the Torah says that one must be like a reed. The reed is flexible, and human beings have to be flexible sometimes. They have to bend, but not break. They have to be like that. The next process, which is more contemporary, is what is done today, plastic pens. There's also writing with a stainless steel pen. And the latest technology used today is the keramigamish pen. That's what it's called in Hebrew, ceramic, which is a mixture between ceramic and plastic, which is flexible. So the pen needs to have not only a special cut, but also a special angle. And actually, here in Argentina, practically no one makes these pens. They are made in Jerusalem.
Or you have to import everything.
There's no one, yes. And the best thing is to go to the manufacturer and like see how you write, and he makes it personally for you. And about the ink which we have here, it has to be a plant-based ink because it can't have anything animal-based. It has to be something that's permissible to put in your mouth. I'm going to invite you now to see how a mezuzah is written.
This time, the mezuzah that you're going to start writing now, does it take you about 2 hours to make it?
Yes, but we're just going to do a little bit for the audience.
Question, can you do it while listening to music, watching TV in the background or not?
There are some opinions that Jewish music, of course, without lyrics, could be listened to, but it's better not to. So the first thing you say is Ani kotev l'shem kodushat mezuzah. I write El Shem for the sake of the mitzvah of mezuzah. And that first line, this is repeated for 72 lines. First, everything is written, and then the crowns are made. In general, the crowns are made afterwards.
The crowns have a Kabbalistic meaning, right?
Yes, they were taught at Mount Sinai,
And what do they symbolize?
the great secrets of the Torah. It is said that Rabbi Akiva, who was a great teacher, learned many laws from those little crowns. Look, I'm going to tell you something quickly about the best cities in the world, which you love, which is Mar del Plata. There was a man, the father of a family friend, who was very sick, and we immediately told them, come, bring your mezuzah. Of course, the man was hospitalized. The family brought it. And there's a word. Here it says that you will say, you will remember God both when you go to bed and when you get up. And in the word uf kumeja, the kuf, the letter kuf, is shortened. Look here. Yes, what made it invalid, and it couldn't be corrected. Because we said before that if you make a mistake here and you wrote here, you have to erase everything. And of course, there are the names of God. When God's names appear, you can't write further.
You have to replace it completely.
That mezuzah is taken to what is called the geniza. Here I have a bag that goes to the cemeteries. Look, here is the amia bag. It is buried. It is buried. We send it to the geniza. We changed the letter in the mezuzah, and automatically there was a before and after for this person. A person who was in a very difficult situation, and in the word, and you shall rise up. After we changed the letter in the word, and you shall rise up, he got up. It's a matter of faith. Of course, this is something to believe in. And we can tangibly see that a mezuzah can change a person's bad luck for the better, and it can also have a negative effect. As we discussed, I'll show you what tefillin are. We put them on in the morning, and you brought yours in your bag. They made me do it. Everything related to tefillin is made of leather. This is made from a single piece of leather. Yes, yes, that's how it's made. They're made in Israel.
Or in the United States?
Yes. It has 4 compartments in which the 4 passages go in the head tefillin. And on the arm, we'll see that it's in a single passage. This is a fragment of an arm tefillin, which only has a single passage written.
When we put this on every morning, this is what's written inside.
Yes, in the one for the arm. And it is also wrapped with some straps that are also made of leather.
And these are the ones for the head. Inside they have these 4 compartments and they go in here in a particular order.
Here you put one called Kadesh. Here you put one called Vehaya im Shamoa, the Shema, and Vehaya ki Yeviacha.
About how much does a tefillin cost?
And it can range between $500, and there are some that can cost $5,000 or $6,000. $5,000, yes. It depends on the sofer. There are sofrim who are very well known in the world, and they have waiting lists of 1, 2, even 3 years.
Just to clarify, Mendy, besides being a sofer, besides being a scribe of Jewish ritual items, is also a rabbi.
Yes, yes. But one thing has nothing to do with the other. Like a rabbi doesn't have to be a sofer, and a sofer doesn't have to be a rabbi. Yes.
In fact, most rabbis don't know how to do your job.
No.
Recently, you mentioned, half joking or not, that because I travel often, I should carry a mezuzah and hang it wherever I stay.
Well, the Lubavitcher Rebbe taught that you can carry it in the glove compartment of your car. There was the Rebbe Maharash, who also carried a mezuzah inside his cane.
Look, all the marketing here, if you want to buy a mezuzah, just write to Tienda Mezuzah. We'll put the link in the video description. And Mendy will check the mezuzah for you. He'll sell you one. There are many Jewish people's homes that don't have one. It's good. It's something that's nice as a tradition. There are many people in the community who aren't believers, but who have a mezuzah on their door for a traditional reason, a matter of wanting to maintain this ancient identity, this ancestral heritage. So if you want to have a mezuzah the right way,
we have sent them all over the country and soon throughout all of Latin America. That is to say,
I'm in Ushuaia and I'm taking a mezuzah made by you.
Yes, yes. Recently, I sent one to Formosa. I also sent one to Neuquén, to Mendoza, to San Juan. I hope that many people have discovered our ancient art, that many times they don't even know that when they go to a shopping mall, suddenly there's a mezuzah and they don't know what that item is, and now they know its whole origin, how to make it, where it comes from, and how many laws it has. Well,
it's time to put it up again. We say the appropriate blessing, which I already said, and that's it. Now with the mezuzah once again on my door, I'm going to say goodbye to this episode of Un Topo por el Mundo y no Heselaprok Sima. I hope you enjoyed learning a little more about our Jewish culture, tradition, and history, and I'll see you next time.